Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is your host, Rising Oblivion. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about that Atlus consumer survey. So, we did have a live stream where they showed off the results, but I'm going to be giving you basically a quick rundown of everything that was done there, what games people are wanting remastered, who all took part in this, what games were the first ones that people first ever played. There's a Persona one and just Atlus games in general. So, there's some pretty cool, interesting statistics here that we have from this survey, so I'm trying to basically cut up the whole thing and make it just a quick, easy video that you can watch just to understand kind of what the whole survey was about. So let's go over the number of participants and where from. So there were 44,731 total participants, but 30,760 of them were from the West, 13,971 were from Japan. So Japan has about a third of the participants for this, while the West makes up about 2/3 of this entire thing. So keep that in mind while we go forward with the information here, because it's going to be skewed a little bit towards that Japanese, fan base, at least when it comes to like a third of the responses. So let's go ahead and move forward now. So let's go over the gender ratio. So the people who took this survey, 64% of them were male and 32.4% were female, and then there is a portion there for unanswered and for other as well. And of course we also got an age range. So from 10 to 19 was 10.6%. They didn't have any under 10. So if you're under 10 years old and you're playing these games, bye-bye. You're not allowed to play. You're not allowed to play them. But 20s, it was 30.6%. 30s, 37.1%. And 40s, 21.7%. So we did notice that the age demographic is at least 20s onward, at least for a majority of the fans here. But keep in mind, like I said, 1/3 of this is going to be the Japanese fan base, who have probably played these games a lot longer than people in the West, because just the nature of Atlus's games, it took a little bit longer for them to reach over to the West, so a younger audience were the ones who sort of got a hold of this game, right? Because there's a lot of people in Japan that played this as kids and now are adults playing these games. So 30s actually was the largest cut when it came to the age range of the fan base. However, you'll notice a lot of the YouTubers and a lot of people that are playing it, at least here in the West, they're in like their 20s. So kind of interesting here. I think a lot of that has to do with Japan having a bigger cut when it comes to like the 30s. I think that's why it's there. If this was just the West, I think it'd be a little bit different. I don't think it'd be exactly that much in the 30s. It'd probably lean more towards the 20s, I bet. But let's move on over to some more statistics here. These are statistics that I find pretty interesting. So none of this on screen you're going to be able to read because it's all in Japanese, but I'm going to be able to read it all for you. So this is elements that make a game feel like an Atlus title, which is pretty interesting, I think. So the first one is an interesting and deep story. 2 is good non-human character designs like demons, which is pretty cool, because if you think about a lot of the Atlus games, a lot of them do have a lot of different designs that are not humans. In fact, I'd say mostly the designs for like models and stuff like that are probably not humans when it comes to a Mega 10 game. 3 was good music. 4 was good human character designs. That's important. 5, a world setting with a strong occult feeling. I think we feel that in most of the games. 6 is a world/setting with a feeling of an underground subculture. That's pretty cool, because if you think about it, we have, like the soul hackers now. We have like the Phantom Society and stuff like that for like Soul Hackers 2, which feels like a subculture, right? We have the, demon summoners. We have the, I guess you could say like the different groups in the Persona games. They're their own subculture, their own different thing. Like the Phantom Thieves are their own sort of culture at this point, and even the fan base and everything they have, like within the game, it's like its own subculture. So I guess that's something that we do see quite a lot. I never really thought about that, but it's kind of true. 7 is the feeling of difficulty level and game balance. That's pretty good. You gotta have that. 8 is a world setting that feels anti-archist, going against the common tropes. I don't know why that was so hard for me to read. I saw that word and completely blanked, but I guess it's meaning going against like the typical, just normal way of doing things, right? It's a little bit different when it comes to their games. 9 is good design of things other than characters, such as user interface. I think Persona has some of the most beautiful user interface that like any game has, honestly, in terms of style. And 10 is characters that are easy to empathize with, and also have an appealing personality. So we have pretty much, I'd say that's a pretty good sum of like what it feels like to have an Atlus title, to be completely honest. So let's move on over here to the first Shin Megami Tensei game users played. So we have a couple things there that girl is showing. Number one being Shin Megami Tensei. So again, keep in mind, most of this is the Japanese fan base. I would argue most people in the West probably didn't play the first SMT game as their first game, but that is what we have there currently. And then in number 2, it is Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei. Number 3 is Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Number 4, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Children Black Book, Red Book, which is kind of like the weird, like, kind of Pokemon spin-off type of thing, I guess you could say. It's not Pokemon, it's different, but it's like a Megaten way of doing it. And then number 5 was Shin Megami Tensei 5, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. They kind of bundle those together when it comes to 5. I think that's because of how big it was in the West, which is why I think it was that way, which you can kind of tell the influence of the Western stuff. I'd imagine most people who took the survey are more of like diehard Atlus fans, so you got to keep that in mind as well. There's probably not a ton of casual people who took this, and if there is, it's probably a small fraction of this. So the bigger people who have probably played these games for a long time also probably, you know, are a majority of the people taking the survey. So I think that's why we see like Shin Megami Tensei there, Digital Devil Story, the original OG Nocturne, which is why they're there. And again, like I said, a third of this survey is from the Japanese, you know, fan base. So they probably played these games earlier, got in touch with them earlier, so they're playing the earlier games as their first game. So let's move on over to the first Persona games users played. So number 1 is Revelations Persona PS1/Windows. Number 2 is Persona 3 Portable, not FES, Portable, then Persona 3, then Persona 5, then Persona 4. So interesting there. Persona 5 is at 4, which I think is probably, at least when it comes to casual fans, the first game, and then maybe like P3, P4 for more of the diehard-ish kind of fans, or just fans over in the West. And I think a lot of that Revelations Persona probably has to do with the Japanese fan base, and then P3 obviously being just sort of like the big critically acclaimed, you know, star of like the modern Persona trilogy. So I think that adds up when it comes to what we have here. But let's move on over to this last segment I wanted to talk about here. So this is the segment that is the most interesting. So what you're seeing here is the games that users wanted a remake of the most. So they asked, what games would you guys like to see remade? Now, when it says remade, I'm assuming this also means like remasters, ports, remakes, you know, from top to bottom, right? I think this includes a lot of different things in terms of like what it means as a remake. So we could see anything with this stuff. I'm not 100% sure. They also could take this stuff and not have any of it in mind. But number 1, funny enough, was Persona 3. P3, P3 FES, and P3P was almost 80%. That's how much people wanted to have that game there. A very, very big percentage of people really wanted to have that game. Then number 2 is Persona 2 Innocent Sin / Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. So the duology is there as well. Then Revelations Persona, then Persona 4 Golden, which I assume people mean as more of like a actual full-on remake. So we have Persona 1, Persona 2, both of them, Persona 3, and Persona 4 at the top 4 for games that people want to have remade. And I think a lot of that might actually have to do with the West, but also maybe just Japan as well. People really want to see those games make it there. In fact, actually, Persona 3 and Persona 2 in this actually tied. You see it's 38.9%. They actually had it tied there for number 1. And then I guess you could say Revelations Persona, like OG Persona, I guess is number 2, but they have it listed as number 3 on here, but I don't know, it's whatever. That's what we're looking at. So the first 4 things are all Persona games. And then 5th, we have Devil Summoner, Raido Kuzunoha series. That's also, I think, a big fan favorite. Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, the OG Soul Hackers. Then Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse is further than regular base Shin Megami Tensei 4. So if I were to have Apocalypse, I feel like I'd also want to have SMT4 alongside it. If they could have these bundled together and sort of like just have like an HD remake and slap them on the Switch, I would be happy to have those. But I feel like it'd be weird to have Apocalypse over SMT4. It didn't go over by much. It's about only 1% more, but still, I feel like we should have both of those together. It'd be weird to get only Apocalypse and not 4. That'd be just kind of strange. And number 9 is Digital Devil Saga Avatar Tuner Series. I can't lie to you guys, this is one that I know almost nothing about. I really don't know a whole lot about most of the Digital Devil Saga games because I just haven't really picked them up, but this one in particular, I really don't know anything about. And then number 10 was Etrian Odyssey series. Again, one of their other like critically acclaimed Atlus games. It makes sense as to why it's on here. I think this was pretty big also when it came to like the DS games, so a huge game. I would love to see this remastered as well. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys would like to see. Do you like this list? Do you think the Persona 1 should be up as high? Do you think we should have other stuff in there, like, I don't know, maybe like a full-on Nocturne remake? I don't know. I think that's something I personally would want, but let me know down in the comment section below, what would you like to see remastered? Do you think this list is good? I don't know. I think the survey was pretty cool. I'm glad they did this, and I'm glad the West got to have a pretty big voice here when it came to what people want to see. I'm glad that they're trying to include us more as a whole international, you know, fan base and not really separating things. Because when it separates stuff, that's when we end up with releases that are, you know, a whole year apart, and it just kind of sucks, man. But I think that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe for more content. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching.